Good afternoon. The subcommittee will come to order. I want to thank everyone for being here today to discuss the digital GI Bill project. Notice I didn't say to discuss the fantastic way that this project has been completed on time and on budget. That was not in the script. We have to approach this in a nonpartisan way, and I'm incredibly thankful for Mike being here and all the rest of my Democrat colleagues for really adhering to that tradition we have here in this subcommittee, where we clearly separate politics, and this is one of the reasons why we have to. During the subcommittee's joint hearing with the Subcommittee on Technology Modernization in July of 2023, we received an update about the digital GI Bill, and we voiced our concerns about how the project has been designed and implemented during the Biden-Harris administration. But let's be super clear, these contracts were signed under the previous administration. I'd like to repeat my fellow chairman Matt Rosendale's words during his opening statement last July, where he said, "I believe the concept of the digital GI Bill remains sound, but the bureaucracy managing the project is floundering." And since then, it's clear that the bureaucracy managing this project has negatively impacted the success of the digital GI Bill and has cost the taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars and ultimately negatively impacts veterans. We're here today because the report issued by the VA Inspector General on August 28th, 2024, and it confirms many of the fears that were expressed on my side, you know what, it's actually our side of the aisle, about how this project was being managed under the current administration. According to OIG, the project was hindered from the outset because the VBA failed to include staff who had, this is a direct quote, VBA failed to include staff that had required technical expertise to develop performance work statements which outlined the necessary steps to complete the platform development and therefore drive contract requirements. Further, the OIG specifically mentioned that the initial contract requirements were, and I quote, unclear or unrealistic. This report highlighted the lack of accountability of leadership at the VA and the design flaws that will continue to cost the American taxpayer and hundreds of millions of dollars. VA employees working on this project did not have the proper expertise to run the program, and the VA failed to follow traditional contract implementation guidelines. It's just that simple. Many of these same issues have been raised and investigated by this committee in previous GI Bill failures in 08, 10, and 18. And frankly, gentlemen, it's embarrassing that we have to do this again. It is professionally embarrassing, and anybody that has anything to do with this project should be personally embarrassed. Those are everybody here and the people that decided not to show up. So the life cycle cost is projected by MITRE, who I will note refused to testify today. That's the empty chair next to you, and answer questions about their involvement in these issues to be up to $2.7 billion. That is over $1 billion more than the estimate was given to Congress in 2021. And this project, which was originally projected to be finished at the end of 2024, will not even be done until 2026. During today's hearing, VA must be accountable for the 2-year delay and doubling the cost and explain how they're going to get the GI Bill back on track. Student veterans deserve a modern system that they can count on. And taxpayers deserve to know that their investment is worthwhile, and that's why we're here, period. What is amazing to me is that any private business or non-government sector of the American economy, if this were to take place, they all would have been fired. They all would have never been hired again by anybody with any level of sanity or business sense or fiscal responsibility, or someone in this case who actually cares about the people they say they care about, and that's the student veterans. If civilians were sitting there, they would walk out this door and their stuff would be in a cardboard box from their desk, and they would be fired, and rightfully so. And I'm really looking forward to hearing from the OIG. I had a meeting with them for like an hour going through these results, because this is on one hand so incredibly complicated, and on the other hand so incredibly easy, to figure out what has gone on here and what continues to go on at the Veterans Affairs Administration. And we are just not going to allow this to fail. We're not. I'd like now to yield to my very good friend and ranking member, Levin. I now recognize myself for 5 minutes. Mr. Burke, you said that Mr. Park has been paid, how much money?
480 plus million to
Okay.
this point.
Mr. Peters, PhD from MITRE, how much money did you receive to help plan this project? Okay, I guess I'll have to ask you, Mr. Burke. How much money did the Veterans Affairs Administration give to MITRE to help plan this?
Mr. Chairman, that number I don't know. I'll bring that
Hold
back.
on a sec. So what exactly was Dr. P, or Mr. P, yeah, PhD, I guess. What was their play in this whole thing?
So I will say we've had a great partnership with all of our partners, whether it be AFS, MITRE. MITRE is doing significant work on the life cycle cost
Okay,
estimate.
Mr. Burke, I'm going to be really direct. I'm telling you what, I'm not leaving this committee room. So if you want to do that all day, I'll do that all day. Okay. And by the way, I would have a fantastic working relationship with you too if you gave me $450 million. Let's just put that out. So what exactly, specifically, was MITRE supposed to do at the inception of this project?
So I'll start my answer again. We've got fantastic partnerships with all of our partners, MITRE included. MITRE has done significant work for us on the life cycle cost estimate. I wasn't around at the beginning of this project, so I'm not sure exactly what was expected at the beginning. That was under prior leadership. But if you're looking for accountability, I'm right here. And I am holding our partners accountable through executive steering committees, setting expectations. I was a part of the renegotiation of the contract that more clearly laid out expectations, and we hold folks accountable to those milestones and those deadlines.
So did I just hear correctly that you're accepting full responsibility for the additional $450 million that it's going to take to get this done? That's what that sounded like.
Let me elaborate on my answer. With all things VBA, the Undersecretary for Benefits is responsible for VBA. With respect to the effective modernization efforts for DGIB, I was designated about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, as the accountable official. I take full accountability for what I will say is the success of this project. I don't take credit for the success, but I am accountable for the modernization efforts.
Thank you. Mr. Orifici, you were there. What happened? What were they supposed to be doing?
MITRE was brought on board to help us with the planning of the acquisition for digital GI Bill, life cycle cost estimate, and program management support.
Okay, so how I read this and sitting with the OIG is that, and Mr. Burke, you said VA poor planning. So the VA is not a person. And I've had these discussions with you guys in different parts of the VA frequently. The VA is not a person. Dr. Peters is a person, but he's not here. Mr. Orifici is a person. He's here from the beginning. Mr. Burke here is, he picked it up as he's going along. So who exactly did the planning that, as pointed out very clearly in the OIG report by Mr. Dahl and his colleagues, who was responsible for the planning? Like, who was that? The VA didn't plan it. People at the VA planned it. So who are those people and why are they still employed? Who are they? Anybody?
I'll take that, Mr. Chairman. The individuals that were involved in the initial planning for these efforts are no longer with the organization through various means. I will say that the folks that are involved in the digital GI Bill modernization efforts now are committed to the people that we're intended to serve. We've also had 6 majorly successful releases and numerous minor releases. The digital GI Bill modernization, while it had
Wait, Mr.
absolutely,
Burke,
we are aware of the challenges.
Mr. Burke, so I hear what you're saying and I don't appreciate it. So I know that this Mr. 11, hold up the thing, this was signed under the previous administration. I know some of the people you're talking about were political appointees from the previous administration, but not all of them. They weren't. So when we keep saying this, I'm aware of this problem, aware of that, and you're obfuscating at this point. So my time has expired. We are doing a second round of questioning, and a third, and a fourth, and a 15th if we need to. So I'd now like to yield to Ranking Member Levin for 5 minutes. Or, you know what, I'm gonna yield to you for as much time as you consume. Explicitly clear, the intent of these harsh words that we are using is for the sole purpose of making sure that our veterans get the care that they deserve, that they've earned. I also want to make sure that the folks that check me in La Crosse, Wisconsin, so I can get my health care, that instead of wasting billions of dollars, maybe we can give them a pay raise. Or the fact that we are having difficulty hiring and retaining doctors and nurses and nurse practitioners, psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors. We're having across-the-board issues hiring and retaining these people because they can go to the civilian world and get paid more because we're wasting billions of dollars. So being able to apply the monies that are literally wasted, that have boldly crossed from incompetence to malfeasance to corruption, wiping that out, we can compensate the people that are caring for our veterans, that have given us our freedom, and that we owe a debt. So these programs, the Veterans Affairs Administration also make sure that our Gold Star spouses have benefits. That I just walked around, I did a Capitol tour with 4 of our widows and 3 of our widows and 4 of their children. And every penny that is wasted cannot be applied to making sure that our Gold Star families have what they need. And we have to understand that relationship between us and them is not a mortgage. That's not a 30-year commitment. That is a lifetime commitment. And we owe them better. We're talking about prosthetics the other day. We don't have enough money for this, but we have enough money because someone can't follow basic planning guidelines. That's wholly unacceptable. And year after year after year after year, and every single IT project has been a galactic failure from the VA. That's not acceptable. And people need to start losing their jobs, or they need to resign. I'm very clear about this. I got out of the SEAL teams because I couldn't carry a rucksack anymore. So I retired because I knew I couldn't do my job. And if I was doing my job at the level that you guys are doing your job, I would resign. And I've proven that. Are you trying to do what's right? Yeah, I get it. But with a demonstrated pattern of conduct, which is exactly what you have, that transcends any good intention. So I ask unanimous consent that all members may have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous material. Without objection, so ordered. This hearing is adjourned.